Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I am pretty good, so yourself?
I'm very well, yes. Looking forward to reviewing The Crow.
Yeah.
When did you first see The Crow, Matt?
I went to the cinema to see it.
Oh, wow.
It's the only film I've ever seen 3 times at the cinema.
Oh, that is high praise. Presumably you've not seen films more than 3 times.
No.
Not
at the cinema anyway.
Not at the cinema. Yeah. So first film you saw 3 times at the cinema. So I'm guessing you just saw it and you're like, I need to see that again. Again.
Basically, I took other people.
Yeah, that's the excuse.
Each time.
I do that.
To sort of sing it.
You take your partner, then you take a friend, then you take your dad, then you just work your way around. And I used to do that with some films, and my dad was like, "That film was awful," and I'm like, I just really want to see it again. So it's like, I know you don't like it. I did. It's like the third time I've seen it.
You would like it, but I want to see it again. So.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, one of my friends. I was at college at the time, and one of my friends, she worked at the Odeon in Frogmore Street.
Oh, nice.
I think it was Canon? I can't remember when it was, but the one that is now the O2.
Yeah.
And she got at least one of those. She got us in for nothing. We didn't really at the time. We didn't know she worked there, and she saw us in the queue. Just follow me. I'm like, okay, then.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that cinema as well. It was a good cinema. It was a flea pit, but it was great.
I still miss the Gaiety. That was a cinema I really miss.
Yeah.
Used to be in sort of Broadwalky kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
It was around that area. That was my cinema. I remember seeing like Jurassic Park in there and stuff. Oh, those were the days. So I first saw The Crow on VHS at a friend's house, I think, and absolutely fell in love with it. Became one of those films I watched to absolute death, and then I didn't watch it for many years until yesterday when I was like, okay, let's watch it. And again, it was one of those like, with a little prompting, I think I know all of the lines to this film.
Yeah, I know. I was watching it with my wife, and she hates it when we watch movies that I know really well, because I occasionally
you can't help but say the words. Yeah,
and I thought I did my utter best not to sit there and just do all the lines in that movie. So I was very good yesterday. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Well, that's that's good.
I must admit, it has been a couple of years since I've watched this. Actually,
it's been a long time for me.
I watched it so much.
Yeah,
because this movie was perfect. It was perfectly placed because I was gothy. This, the sound. I mean, we'll mention the soundtrack as well. But,
it's beautiful.
Soundtrack is probably the best soundtrack of a movie.
It's the
it's
soundtrack.
Right up there with Lost Boys.
The soundtrack's amazing. The score is amazing. The score is beautiful.
Even the score. I've got the score as well.
Yeah.
It's a great fucking score.
This film. Holds up so well.
I think I was 17, 18 when this came out. So I was the right age. I was the right fit. Everything about this movie, completely was my thing. So I kind of had to see it, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's 94, so I was 10. But I watched it later, and like you, I was alternative goth. Perfect movie. Movie for me too. Weirdly, I said to you the other day I was tried rewatching the Matrix films, and I did in the end. I forced myself back to watching them. The first one's fantastic, holds up.
Yep.
Second one, fucking terrible, and the third one is even fucking worse. And I can't believe how much worse they've got with age. They were bad in the cinema, and I have not watched them since the cinema. Fuck me, they're terrible now. The first one's still great though.
When I rewatched them, I think about a year ago, and I felt a little softer towards them.
I didn't. I was even more angry.
They're still not great movies, but I thought I did think, okay, there's a few bits that I actually
there
like,
are bits.
I like the things like with the
Merovingian
bike chase. Yes, all the stuff like the ghosts and things, the Ghost Brothers, and you know, the stuff with the mechs is kind of cool.
Oh, it
goes on too long.
It's so dumb. It's like we've got massive squid things with tentacles. Let's build mechs with completely open fronts. Like what? Yeah, why?
With no
why have you got no shielding? Why would you do that?
Yeah, that is. I mean, those mechs are kind of cool. But
they look cool, but it's like, what are you doing?
Is there no glass here, or I mean, you built mech suits? Surely you could
just
build
weld some metal on there. You know, something. You know how these things operate. They tear you apart with lasers and tentacles. Like, come on. But anyway, as a result of that, I was then like, oh, I want to cleanse my palate. And I was like, I'm going to watch Dark City. So I watched Dark City the other day. And then we're reviewing The Crow. And I'm rewatching The Crow. And I'm like, wow. I mean, obviously, same director. Same set designer as well, and by God, does it show when you look at the city. The city in The Crow and the city in Dark City are very similar, like to the point that you could almost. It's like the same, it's like, did they take the same miniatures? Like, at some point. I wondered if. I say Detroit. I wondered if they used the same miniatures in some shots for some panning shots of the city. I don't know, but
maybe
kind of looks very similar. But so yeah, this film was like a revelation for me and you, presumably at the time, and obviously became the bane of every fucking Halloween party from then until Heath Ledger's Joker took over for guys. But yeah, the Crow was a staple at the fancy dress for many years past this film's release date. So should we just get into it?
Let's do
it. It's so difficult to say things about a movie that's so good, other than it's really good, isn't it? It's like the score is brilliant, the soundtrack's brilliant, the direction's brilliant, the acting's brilliant. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
cool. So let's.
I mean, everybody in it is. I mean, Brandon Lee. I'd seen his other movies before this.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was into the Hong Kong movies and stuff, and you know, we've seen Showdown Little Tokyo and Rapid Fire and stuff. So we'd already seen that, and we knew that Brandon could do all the action stuff.
Oh yeah,
but
for
I think
sure.
What he does so well in this is he wanted to do this because it wasn't just about the martial arts; it's about the character and how much pathos he brings to the role. He was an amazing actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure had he lived, he would have gone on to do amazing dramatic performances.
Oh, for sure.
Because he definitely had it in him. You know, we would have seen some really great stuff from him, I'm sure.
I think he is tremendous in this film, and like you said, we'd all seen him do the action stuff, but to see him have such weight in his acting is tremendous. And I think you're right. I think he would have gone on to fantastic things had he not passed away. But anyway, we start with the voiceover, don't we?
We do.
Sarah's voiceover, talking about the people used to or once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead, but sometimes something so bad happens that a terrible sadness is carried with it, and the soul cannot rest. And then sometimes the crow can bring that soul back to put things right, put the wrong things right. And we then cut to October 30th, which is Devil's Night in Detroit. Obviously,
which is a real thing in Detroit, where it used to be.
Yes, yeah.
They used to apparently, like, it was really bad in the 70s.
Right.
They used to set fires and cause destruction, and yeah. They have something else now. I think they call it Angels Night now, and they try to make it a helpful thing.
Okay.
But, you know,
there was a pub down by where I used to live in Whitchurch, and it used to be called the Fighting Cocks. And
yes, I know that.
They used to have so many fights in there that they changed the name to the Happy Cocks, in the hopes that would somehow stop people fighting. It didn't. You'll be surprised to know it did not work.
I can't imagine it would.
No, it didn't.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah. I think it's closed now. It's long gone. I was up that way the other day. Actually, it's all gone up there now. But they did try. But in any case, it's Devil's Night in Detroit. on October 30th, and we meet Sergeant Albrecht, played by Ernie Hudson, who I always forget is in this film until I see him, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Ernie Hudson.
He's great.
Oh, he's fantastic. I like how accepting, because some characters in this film you're like, yes, I understand that you may have some understanding of the mystical kind of spiritual thing that's going on here.
Yeah.
But he's just so cool with this whole concept when the film's going on. It's like, okay, you're taking this very well, Sergeant Albrecht. He's like, okay.
I mean,
okay.
He's sort of, he's very questioning
he's questioning, but very calm. He's very calm about it all. He's like,
get the impression that he's been through a lot, he's seen a lot. So
he's just like,
why not?
Fine, whatever.
I must say when you get the initial shot of the going across the city and going towards the window, that shot's great.
Wonderful.
The window but the fire effects really those have not aged well.
This film,
those fire effects are very bad.
Yeah, I mean this film really pioneered a lot of incredible camera work and shots.
Yeah,
it's quite ambitious for its time, and I think there's a lot of stuff in this that you kind of see in later films. You're like, yeah, we kind of take that for granted, but I think The Crow might have been one of the first films to do it, if not the first, in some cases.
Well, I think the stuff that it did with the superimposing faces on actors, that kind of, I wouldn't say pioneered, but they had a real reason to use it. So they did their best at the time. And
I would say for the most part it's successful. Yeah, for the most part.
I think it mostly holds up.
It's not too bad. Considering it's 1994, it's pretty damned impressive.
Yeah.
So in any case, Sergeant Albrecht is at the scene of a crime. Shelley Webster has been found beaten and raped, and her fiancé, Eric Draven, who's a local guitarist, has been stabbed and shot and thrown out of a window. They're not having a good day. So to make things worse, they were due to be married the next day, and Sergeant Albrecht actually asks someone asks him who would get married on Halloween, and Sergeant Albrecht's like, nobody, and my immediate thought was like, most of my friends. Most of my friends have done that.
I was just like, yeah, I know lots of people who got married on Halloween, but that's
I've been to quite a few weddings on Halloween. Like, in terms of like
people we know, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of days of the year, I'd say that I've been to more on that day of the year than any other day of the year. So, but yeah, so they were planning to get married the next day, and things are obviously terminal for Eric Draven, who is dead. Shelley is in critical condition, and she's getting wheeled out as Sarah.
You also discover that Sarah had written a letter about
she's trying to evict.
So she was trying to fight the eviction of the building that they were in.
Yes, I thought that came up later, but yes, she was trying to fight tenant eviction. Which, we'll get to later, because they kind of comment on, like, who the hell would try and do that in this neighborhood, but fine, either naive or very brave. So as Shelley's getting wheeled out to the ambulance, Sarah, who's a friend of the family, approaches and obviously realizes that it's Shelley, and Albrecht kind of tries to talk to her, and he talks to Shelley as well. He reassures Shelley that Eric's going to be okay. And
asks Sarah, she asks for Eric, and she says, make sure he looks after Sarah. Yeah,
and Albrecht agrees. And Sarah, who, from the outset of this is a very smart, sort of streetwise kid, immediately says, you lied to and of course he then says to Sarah, your sister's going to be okay, and she's like, she's my friend. And she says,
my sister, she just looks at her and Eric look after me.
And she says to Albrecht, you lied to her about Eric, and you're lying to me about Shelley. She's going to die, isn't she? And of course Albrecht then gives her like a cuddle and says it's going to be okay. And you immediately
Torres as well.
Oh yes.
Who, as they're coming out, says, "Is this the victim?" And he says to him, "No, it's Amelia Earhart. We found her."
This guy is Torres like such a dick.
Asshole, isn't he? I mean, obviously it sets up the animosity between these two characters.
Yeah, and it does pay off.
That Albrecht at some point had done something and got his badge taken. He'd been demoted to beat cop because at some point he was a detective.
Yes, yeah. But it heavily implied that he probably lost it trying to do the right thing. In fact, I think wasn't it this case that he kept digging and then lost? Because at some point he says like, "Oh, I kept digging and then they eventually took my badge." And it's not kind of.
He's actually in uniform in this part. So he says to him, this is why you got demoted.
So that's true. Yeah, so he must have been demoted prior. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 year later to the day, so October 30th again, a crow with, I guess, like adamantium beak starts tapping out a gravestone and smashes the top of this gravestone, which always made me laugh. I was like, what is that gravestone made out of that this crow's like tapping away at it? Actually, is Sarah delivering flowers at this point? No, she's not, is she?
No.
So, the crow starts tapping away at the gravestone, and then we see Eric push his way out of his grave. And as nonsensical as that is, they do a very good job of it. Like, you can see it was not easy. He's trying quite a lot. You can hear the wood and the ground kind of trying to shift as he tries to push it. And obviously we are talking about a supernatural being here, so, might have extra strength and whatever to get out of it. But I think it's a wonderful shot. And I love that kind of scream that he gives out once he's kind of out. Once he's kind of on the ground, kind of, I guess racked with guilt and also trying to breathe again for presumably, for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. All of it, bringing himself back to life and all his organs coming back into to play, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, learning how to breathe again.
Yeah. But a wonderful shot, wonderful framing, wonderful atmosphere. I could say this about every shot of this movie, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we then see T-Bird and his gang. We're introduced to them, aren't we? Then next, as he kind of T-Bird whistles, and we're introduced to Tintin and Funboy and Skank, who were obviously the people that assaulted Shelley and killed Eric. And we then cut to Albrecht, who's getting hot dogs. He's trying to and the amount of sauce and mustard that Albrecht puts on this fucking hot dog is insane. Because the guy who's doing it already put quite a lot on, and then he's like, "No, give me the mustard. No, give me the ketchup again, and onions and more onions."
First,
yeah, and he's just like, "Wow, dude."
I also before that bit, the scene where they're breaking up the arcade.
Oh, I was like, oh, please don't. Like those arcades now. I'm like, no.
Yeah. You get that that line from T-Bird about how Lake Erie once caught on fire.
Oh, and you wish you could have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently Lake Erie did not catch on fire. However, the river that attributes it did. So
right. Okay, I mean, close enough.
Close enough, isn't it?
These were the days before Wikipedia, so he had to go on what he could hear,
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, and Sarah joins Albrecht at this sort of, I guess it's like a truck sort of fast food.
Yeah, it's like a little
hot dog stand.
Dog stand, isn't it? So,
yeah.
And I love the way she comes in. It's raining and she's comes in on a skateboard, and I love it when he says to her, how do you steer that thing in the rain? And she just says, pure talent. I love that.
And of course he offers her a hot dog, and she asks if he's buying.
If he's paying, yeah.
And then of course this always gets me.
She also says, I guess give her one with everything because no onions, they make you fart big time.
Yeah. And again, another example of Ernie Hudson's Albrecht being just chill as fuck, quite frankly. It's Devil's Night. He knows what Devil's Night is. It's been around a while. And he's just like, he sees T-Bird's car drive past, he's like, a lot of bad people out on the streets tonight. It's like, dude, it's literally like the worst night of the year for you guys. And he's just chill. Yeah. He's like, just chilling. I'm having my hot dog. But of course that doesn't last long because there is a huge explosion down the street. And of course he runs towards the building, telling Sarah to stay at the hot dog stand.
Yeah. And the gang actually drive past them and slow down as they drive past them because they've set a timer for the actual thing blowing up. So they slow down and drive sort of very slowly past them, but it's like he doesn't know that you're a bunch of assholes.
yeah, absolutely. And of course, meanwhile, Eric heads down the kind of alleyways, doesn't he, in his burial attire?
Yeah.
And
he's pulling it off, and
yes,
he's got no shoes on. He finds some shoes in a dumpster.
That's right.
That the crow sort of sat on, and then he basically finds bits and pieces as he's going along, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he heads into his apartment, doesn't he? He goes in, eventually ends up in his old apartment, which is kind of derelict, but you've still got the police tape over it, which is, the reason why everything's kind of left undisturbed in there. It's still an ongoing open case. And he enters the room and he kind of starts reliving all the memories of that night, doesn't he? He starts seeing them.
Yeah, he's picking up things, from what he touches, and
it's not necessarily his memory. It's kind of more it's more of a power, isn't it? The objects he picks up, he kind of gains memories and gains things from them. So it's like a bit more intrusive than just a memory, because we see him kind of really struggling to kind of deal with everything that's happening.
Take it in,
yeah. And this kind of ends with him doing this awesome, because he was thrown out of the window. He was held up and thrown out of the window. And we get this awesome bit where he's kind of reenacting that, but he jumps and grabs through the glass at the top of the window frame and swings back around on himself. And the broken...
There's still broken glass, and that goes right through his palms.
I think he puts his hand through what's left of the glass up there anyway, doesn't he?
Yes.
Because it kind of makes like little crows out of the shape of his hands, where his hands have gone through as well. Which I'm not sure how intentional that is, but it looks awesome.
It does look. Yeah.
And then of course he looks at his hands, which are bloody, and quickly sees that they heal.
Yeah.
He then obviously takes his burial clothes off and basically puts his...
Yeah, he opens up a suitcase where you see it's got like the name of his band on it and stuff. And
yes, Hangman's Joke, is it? Hangman's Joke?
Yeah, the Hangman's Joke. And he takes out clothes and he goes to the mirror, and other than he smashes it when he's getting some of those memories back, and then he sees there's a mask with basically the black lines and the black basically that's what he takes. He takes like some of the makeup from Shelley's dresser and basically applies it to his face.
Yeah, so I think it was a mask that he gave as a gift to Shelley, and we see him scaring her with it, doesn't he? He kind of freaks her out with it. So he paints his face, and then he basically starts to follow the crow. Well, I guess he was following the crow the whole time. The crow kind of took him to the apartment, and he was kind of following it the whole time.
You also get that awesome Cure song playing as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but like you said, the soundtrack to this film is incredible.
Yeah.
Really good. And this song fits so well with this scene. And it's almost like the song was written for this scene in a way. It just fits so perfectly.
It's actually one of the only original songs on the album. I think quite a lot of the songs lot of the songs are covers, but they're still great.
Yeah. So
and I still say that the Nine Inch Nails cover of Dead Souls is almost better than the original.
Yeah, that happens with Nine Inch Nails every now and again. They do a song and they're like, wow, that is close to being better than the original, which I never say for songs generally.
It's very rare.
They're about the only band that come close sometimes with their covers. But yeah, so following The Crow, we get that kind of awesome transition of the Crow flying over the city, trying to locate Tintin. And we also then see Eric running across the rooftops following.
And that's such a great shot as well, the him running across the roofs.
An incredible shot.
Still holds up. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
amazing. You also see, the shots of, we can see that he can see what the Crow sees.
Yes, yeah, because we get the shot where the Crow is kind of perched on top of the building and he looks down on Tintin, and you can see that Eric can see what the Crow can see. And
we actually, there's also, before that, we see Tintin in the pawn shop.
Oh yes, in Gideon's pawn shop.
Gideon's, selling all the stuff that he's obviously stolen that night.
Do you know, I love Gideon. He's such an asshole. Like, he's horrible to everyone. Like, he's just... I love that character. He's just such an asshole to everyone in his life.
John Polito played those
horrible he really did.
Characters really well.
Yeah.
I mean, later on, you see... He really should have learned to keep his mouth shut.
Oh God, there is a scene later on where it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. They're kind of arguing over a leather purse and some rings.
He says, "There's that blood on it." And he says, "There's a leather purse." It's like, yeah, but it's got blood on it. I love it. And it's like all the jewelry's crap, so he gives him $50.
Yeah, and then he calls him a child molester. It's like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, some harsh. Yes, and he tells him to close the lock the gate as he leaves, and he basically tells him to go fuck himself as he does. He locks up and walks down the alleyway. At which point the Crow locates him, and Tintin's. I think he's lighting a cigarette, isn't he? As he sees Eric walking towards him, and obviously he just thinks it's some crackhead on Halloween Eve.
There's about 3 times in this movie that he gets called a crackhead.
yeah. And obviously he questions why he's painted up for Halloween, because Halloween isn't until tomorrow. But of course, Eric is just walking towards him pretty intimidatingly. I mean, it's pretty clear from the look in his eyes. He's planning on doing some damage. So, of course, Tintin fights back, or tries to fight back. And Eric is very, very quickly defeats Tintin until Tintin starts talking about Shelley.
Well, he says to him, I want you to tell me a story about... Well, he calls him murderer. Yeah. He shouts murderer as he attacks him.
Yeah, because, he defeats him pretty quick.
He denies it. Yeah. He's like, I haven't killed anybody, blah, blah, blah. It's like, really? You haven't killed anybody? I think you've killed lots of fucking people.
Yeah, for sure. You're like a walking knife dispenser. I'm pretty sure you've killed a few people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
I just carry 7 knives for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, I want you to tell me a story about, Shelley and him, and
it's like a woman and a man in a loft a year ago.
And then he says, oh yeah, I remember. He says, you raped and murdered her, and he's, oh yeah, I remember her, and he makes that rather crass comment about how much she loved. He did it, and she loved it. And of course, he's like momentarily distracted by what he says to him. It's a jarring thing that he says to him, and he's up.
Well, I mean, bearing in mind for Eric, she died like 10 minutes ago. Like almost immediately, he's just risen from the dead, and she's dead. So he's only just found out. So and that kind of gives him Tintin enough to kind of try and fight back. And of course, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere anyway, but he can't help but be cocky And it's like, you should have taken advantage while you had advantage. Because he hits him with like a pipe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He hits Eric with a pipe. And then while Eric's down, he starts bragging. And he kind of pulls his knives and he says, like,
murder is easy and I'm going to tell you all about it. And he takes his knives out.
Yeah, he says that it's fun and it's easy. And he says, I want to introduce you to two friends of mine we never miss. And immediately he misses, which I love.
Yeah.
Eric ducks the first knife.
Eric sort of ducks the first one, yeah. The second one he just knocks away.
And then he says, again, harder or something like that, doesn't he? And then he throws...
Try harder.
Yeah, throws the third knife, and of course Eric catches it between his hands, flicks it around and throws it back at him. And it kind of cuts immediately to the shot of Tintin getting pinned to some, I guess, wooden pallets or something. And then we get the line from Eric of victims aren't we all, as he grabs another knife from Tintin. And we don't see what happens at that point. It kind of cuts, but obviously it's pretty clear what happened. But
yeah, well, I mean, we do see his body later.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just mean at this point it kind of cuts to.
We don't see him actually do it.
No,
we don't see him do the deed.
No, and then I think we cut to the pawn shop, don't we? Again, did we not cut back to the pawn shop, or do we get our introduction to? I'm trying to think if we go to the club after this, or whether we go to the pawn shop.
Oh man, I only watched last
night. I know,
so
did I. We watched it last night. I think we might get a quick cut to... No, I don't think we do. No, I think we do. I think we cut to the pawn shop with Gideon counting his money. And obviously someone starts knocking on the door, and obviously we know who it is. And immediately he's just like,
and he says,
piss off, we're close.
Off somewhere else, dust head.
Yeah. And I love that line, the damn creatures of the night, as we see his face, because obviously he opens the gate, which was locked, which causes Gideon to grab his gun, and then of course he smashes the window, and we get that awesome shot, which I don't know whether this was like a composite shot or how they did this, whether it was a really well trained crow or they just had these isolated shots that they put into the crow afterwards. But there are some shots of this crow, like when it comes through the door right over the camera, and later on it flies down a flight of stairs. It's like some amazing shots with this crow, and I've never been sure whether it was a composite shot or whether it was a really well-trained crow.
It was certainly a very well-trained crow.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
It's called Magic.
Right.
I think it's the same crow in all of the movies as well.
Oh, really? I don't know how long crows live for. I guess they might live for a while.
I think so.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's the same crow. He was called Magic.
Oh.
Well, actually, not a crow at all. It's a raven, but...
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And yeah, so this guy's like broken the lock off the gate. He's come in,
walked through the window,
and then Gideon shoots him.
No, he says
he says you owe me a fucking new door.
The line about the line from the Raven. Suddenly I heard a tapping as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. Yeah. And he says, what are you talking about? He says, you heard me rapping, right? and then he says about what he wants. He's looking for something in an engagement ring. And then I think
he's like, you're looking for a fucking coroner, pal. And just shoots him. And of course we see immediately the blood kind of, you see the blood hole, the bullet hole, but then it immediately heals. And then Gideon, from that point on, I think most of his dialogue for the rest of this scene is just shit on me for most of the rest of the scene. And
I love that bit where he goes to sort of hit him, and he's hanging from the ceiling upside down, and he says to him, "Mr. Gideon, you're not paying attention." I love he just keeps hitting him and smashing his stuff up.
Yeah,
and he says about engagement ring, was pawned a year ago. And he tells him where the box of rings is, and he goes into the little drawer. And I love the way he opens this box of, he sort of tentatively brings out this box, and he closes his eyes and he keeps bringing out rings.
Isn't he just throwing them, saying like wrong?
Yeah. Each one he throws away, and then eventually the right one, he sends he gets the memories from the ring of how he gave it to Shelley in the loft of their apartment.
Yeah.
And he goes back to Gideon, and he says he's got the box, and he says, he's throwing rings at him, and he says, "How many of these is a life that you helped, end?" And he's like,
"Oh, did we mention that he smashes the glass and pins him to the table with a knife from the cabinet?" Yes. So at this point, Gideon's kind of helplessly just holding his hand in agony.
At this point, I think he's trying to wrap his hand up, isn't it?
Says, that's right. Yeah.
He's like bleeding everywhere. Mm-hmm. And he's wrapping something around his hand to try and sort of stem the bleeding.
Yeah.
And he basically just says he's gonna take this. He says, "You have what you want, take out everything," sort of thing. And Eric puts the rest of the rings into the barrel of the shotgun.
Yes, and he walks out whilst doing that with the guitar, because he picks up his guitar as well. And again, it's like Gideon. I mean, he was probably going to shoot it anyway, but it's like, Gideon, shut up.
Shut up.
Just be quiet, Gideon. Because, of course, he can't help but taunt him. Yeah.
He's like, dude. You're dead. I'm going to fucking kill you and all that sort of shit. And the one thing I never quite understood is, why is there so much gasoline in a pawn shop?
God knows. Who knows?
Because there's like a drum of it.
Yeah, there's like a whole drum.
Cans. And I think, I don't know, I mean, I've never been in a pawn shop, but I don't imagine they trade in gasoline.
I'm pretty sure you'd probably need a license to trade in gasoline, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like a hazardous materials license of some kind. But yeah, so he has gasoline there, and of course Eric turns around and says, "Is that gasoline I smell?" And of course Gideon runs.
That great shot of
the rings.
Of the rings coming out of the barrel as he fires.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gideon manages to get sort of to the back door in time before the place blows up.
Yeah. And
it's
obviously
thrown out through the back door.
Yeah. And of course Eric learned from Gideon where Funboy hangs out.
And I like the way he says when he's telling their names, he says, "What a jolly name of pirates that these guys have got," or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've all got ridiculous nicknames.
Yeah.
And I think is that one. Yeah, we then get the Albrecht. It pulls up outside, and he says to him, "Freeze."
He says, "Don't move."
Yes, right. He says, "Don't move," and he says, "I thought you guys said freeze." And he says to him, he says to him, "You move and you're dead." And he says, and I say I am dead, and I move.
Yeah. And then, of course, Albrecht's distracted. There's some looters immediately at Gideon's. They're like, "Hey, let's go steal everything from Gideon's."
So the guy taking the television, out of the first guy you see, the guy taking the television out of the window, that's James O'Barr.
Is it
the
really?
Writer of the comic.
I didn't know that.
That's James O'Barr. That's it. Yeah.
That is very cool. But of course, he's distracted momentarily, looks back, and Eric is nowhere to be seen. He is gone.
He does say to him about, don't you recognise me and stuff, and he sort of says who he is, and it's like he's a bit like, taken aback, but like you said, he gets distracted before anything meaningful can happen.
Yeah. So he's like, that was weird, but it's Albrecht. He's just chill. He's so chill in this movie about everything that happens. It's fine. So yes, I'm trying to think if they then find if Gideon goes to the bar, doesn't he, at some point? I'm not sure if that's now or after Funboy. I think we might get Funboy next.
When do we get the bit with Sarah? I think we get this bit with Sarah crossing the road.
Oh, actually, that might be immediately after that scene. Actually, yeah, with Sarah skateboarding.
And Eric basically saves her from getting knocked over by a taxi.
Yes, and she's just.
I could have totally made that.
Yeah. She's like, she's a kid. She's arrogant. And yeah, she then sort of complains. She sees he kind of hides his face, but she sees, and she's like, "What, are you, a clown or something?" And he says, "Sometimes."
Yeah. Sometimes.
And then she complains about the rain, and he says it can't rain all the time, which is one of their songs.
Yeah, and she says Eric. Mm-hmm. She looks around, but he's gone.
Yeah, he's being a ghost.
Yeah.
But yes, and then we have. I think we cut to Gideon, don't we, drinking in the bar, and we get our introduction to Top Dollar here.
Do we get that, or is it before? Do we get the sort of proper introduction to Darla and Funboy?
It might be because because his second in command guy comes and finds him, doesn't he? Yeah. So we get No, it can't be. No, because he goes there to find Funboy and finds Funboy in the apartment dead, and Eric tells him to shush from the window and disappears out the window, doesn't he?
Yeah. So I think we get the Sarah goes to the bar, I think, and then we see Darla and Funboy sat at the table.
Yes. Yeah.
And she sits down with them and she says she goes to give her money for food, and she says somebody already fed me, the police did.
Yeah.
And he takes the mick out of the Funboy takes the mick out of her.
Yeah.
And she goes over to the bar, and the barman, it's like, he says, technically she's not at work anymore, so they go upstairs.
Yeah.
And it's clear that even though Sarah's fucked by her mother, and in that she's looked after, because Albright is buying her lunch and stuff, and
people around her look
and
after
the barman seems to be looking out for her as well.
Yeah.
Then I think we get the introduction for Top Dollar and his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And they've
just murdered someone.
Clearly just had some incredible sexual encounter in which this poor woman has died.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, she says something along the lines of all about her, and he turns her over, and he says, I think we broke her. And again, fucking Michael Wincott is absolutely amazing in this movie.
His hair is magnificent.
I mean, I presume it's a wig.
Oh yeah, for sure, but it's magnificent.
It looks amazing.
It's the straightest hair I've ever seen.
Yeah, not a hair out of place.
Nope. Even when he's fighting later on, it still looks amazing. Yeah. Like, it's just the most well-kept hair.
You get basically you get little things that, like, clearly these two are not right. They are definitely not normal.
Yeah, absolutely. His second in command comes in and tells him about Gideon's, doesn't he? Says that Gideon's just basically burnt down to the ground. And Top Dollar says no one cleared that event with me. Yeah. And that kind of leads him to then start investigating what on earth is going on.
T-Bird's there as well, isn't it? Because he says one of my men got himself perished.
Yeah.
And you get them. I mean, that massive pile of cocaine.
Oh yeah,
and, there's breathing in the fumes from burning eyeballs, because the sister Micah took the eyes of the girl that they'd killed.
Yeah, lovely.
And, yeah. They're just normal family.
A well-adjusted family. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, find out. I want to know the story about Gideon's. Call it my need to know.
Mm-hmm.
My curiosity sort of thing. So they sort of go off.
Yeah. And then I think we come back to Funboy in his apartment with Darla.
Yeah.
they first see the crow, don't they? The crow comes in as they're high.
They've just shot up
with morphine and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, the crow comes in and she says, "There's a big bird over there."
Yeah, and I think he calls it a squawk, doesn't he?
Calls it a squawk, yeah.
And he kind of teases the bird, and then Eric appears and starts teasing Funboy in the same way.
Yeah, he's gone here, birdie, and Eric comes in and goes, here, Funboy.
And I love even like Funboy's reaction is like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? It's like this painted man just in my house. Like, what on earth is going on?
I love the way he sort of runs towards them with the guitar and sort of like,
he kind of moves as if he's going to throw a knife, doesn't he? And then doesn't.
And Funboy's like completely like, Jesus Christ, don't do that. You never give me a heart attack.
Yeah. And of course he then pulls a gun on Eric, and Eric puts his hand right up to the it is a hell of a cannon as well, this bloody thing.
Yeah. He says to him, take your best shot, Funboy, you've got me dead bang.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he does.
Yeah, so he does. And I love Eric sells it for a moment as well. He kind of turns around and Funboy's laughing his ass off and Eric's kind of pretending like he's hurt. But then he turns around and he's just laughing.
I love the face he gives is brilliant when he's just sort of there going, I'll just wait for this to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course he shows Funboy the hole in his hand as it heals up.
Yeah.
And Funboy's like, oh my God, like what on earth
he
is
says,
going
Jesus Christ, and he says, Jesus Christ, stop me if you heard this one. And he tells the old three nails and in the Jesus going into an in joke, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
And Darla, meanwhile, she runs into the bathroom, and I love the way she runs into the bathroom, just like closes the door and hopes that's enough to keep him out. It's like, I don't think that's going to be enough to keep him out. I don't think
that's going to work. No. So yeah. Meanwhile, Eric disarms Funboy and shoots him in the thigh, I think, or in the leg.
He knocks the gun in. He knocks the gun down, doesn't he? When and he fires it into his own leg.
And he's so high, he's like, "Look what you've done to my sheets!" As he passes out.
Yeah.
He like cries in pain then, and he's like, "Look what you've done to my sheets!" and just passes out. Oh, good stuff. So yes.
He drags him into the kicks the bathroom door open.
Yes, shocker, the door did not stop him.
Yeah. He puts him in the shower.
Yeah.
And then he grabs hold of her.
Yeah.
And he says, morphine is bad for you. And he says, was it mother is the name for God on the hearts and lips of children.
Yeah, somewhere out there your daughter is waiting, I think is what it says, isn't it?
And he forces the morphine out of her.
Which it's a great little practical shot that of the morphine exiting. I mean, I'm guessing it was just like a practical kind of arm that they pumped it out of. It looks great though.
It's a nice shot.
Yeah, and I think Anna Levine, amazing. I mean, like between this and like Unforgiven, this is like the two movies I know her from. She's amazing in both movies. She's fantastic.
She is.
I always thought she looked similar to Drew Barrymore. Like always, she's like something Drew Barrymore-ish about her. But
it's that mid-90s Drew Barrymore with the very blonde hair.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
similar. I mean, both amazing actresses, so not to put either down. Yeah. But yes. So she runs out, crying her eyes out downstairs.
Yeah, and the barman says, "Good night, Darla."
Yeah. I mean, this presumably happens quite often that Funboy's upset Darla over something, and she runs out.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And then I think we get Top Dollar's second in command. I forget his name actually in this movie. I don't even know if he's got a name actually. Does he even have a name, or is he just that guy?
Yeah. Grange.
Grange, is that his name? I couldn't think of his.
Played by the amazing Tony Todd.
Oh.
In like one of Tony Todd's sort of like almost more normal roles. It's.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's weirdly one of the more normal characters in this.
Yeah, he kind of is, isn't he? Yeah. Although he's also kind of. I mean, I guess he's been around those two enough, but there's some weird shit going on in this movie, and he's another one that's kind of like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
He just goes with it.
Yeah, he just rolls with it.
him and
Albrecht.
and Albrecht are just sort of like, yeah, we've done all this. We're just easygoing people.
Yeah, it's like, whatever.
And you get Gideon. Gideon's there, isn't he? Is it? Oh no, is it?
No, I think this is where Grange goes up and he sees Fun Boy dead, and then looks out the window, looks towards the window, and he sees Eric exit out the window.
Gideon's getting a drink, isn't he? And,
he's in the bar. Says, that's right. Yeah, he's in the bar, and he tells him to stay there.
If I wanted ice, I'd have asked for ice, and he's like, asked for another one. And the guy, the bartender's just like, do it yourself, macho man, and puts the bottle down.
And then Grange helps him.
Grange comes in and pours him a drink.
Yes.
And he says he tells him about what Eric said, because we did forget that Eric says, tell them I'm coming.
Oh yeah, he does. He says, tell them death is coming for them.
Yeah.
Because he was left alive as a message, effectively.
Yeah, and that's when Darla runs down, and she runs past, he realizes that Fun Boy's upstairs. Yeah. So and the way he puts his hat on his
like, burnt head. Yeah.
Says, don't go anywhere. And he goes up. To see him. Yeah, like you said, he gets up there, and he sees Fun Boy on the floor, and Eric's in the window, and he just he shushes and then disappears.
Yeah. And
he goes to the window, and there's no sign of him whatsoever.
No. And then we get a great scene again. Albrecht just being chill, but Albrecht's at home, and Eric appears.
No, I think before that we get the scene with Albrecht at the station.
Oh yes, sorry, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And he's asked for an old file from one of the other cops. And
I think it's from that detective, isn't it? Isn't it from the detective that he doesn't get on with? I think he's trying to get the file.
No, it's a woman. She brings it to him, and she says, "Don't."
Because I'm pretty sure later on, though, he literally says, "You stole one of my files."
Yes, he does. That's later. But it's. Oh yeah, yes, you're right. Yes, she will. The
she's stolen it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, she got it to him, and he's there, like drawing the makeup on the picture of Eric, and she's like, I think you might need some time off or something.
Doesn't she say you're gonna? Because they talk about him being demoted, and she's like, remember what got you demoted in the first place? And then she sees him drawing the crow makeup on, and I think she says like you're gonna end up running in charge of a school crosswalk or something like that, doesn't she?
A crossing guard, yeah. And I like the way she says, "Don't tell me you owe me," and she walks off, and Lee says, "I owe you."
Yeah. And then of course at home, he's kind of got back from work, and he's in his underwear, but still has his hat on.
I love that.
It's such a funny line. He enters his living room, and Eric is there, just shouts "freeze" at him. I must terrify the man. He starts saying like, I thought you were dead. Like, I saw you dead. He was like, I saw you dead. And he just looks up at him. He says, "You've still got your hat on." And then Albrecht kind of questions. He's like, "Are you what are you? Are you a ghost?" And Eric kind of hands him a beer and just says, "Boo." And then says that he doesn't know what he is. And again, Albrecht, super chill about it all. He's like, okay.
He's definitely shooken by it.
He is, but he's very chill under pressure, I feel. He's very...
Yeah.
I would have been like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my whole life. This is unbelievable. What's going on? I'm questioning my entire reality right now. But Albrecht's okay, you're a ghost. Cool. Yep. And we get the power again, where he can take memories as Albrecht tries to say what happened. He says he's like, "Tell me what happened," and Albrecht starts telling him, and obviously you can see that Eric is horrendously upset by it. And he's like, "Well, you asked, you asked me."
He said, you were killed. She was raped and killed.
Yeah.
He said, you asked.
And then of course Eric
he
puts
takes
his
the
hands.
Memories from her, and I like the way he says to her, you stayed with her.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but you've got to realise, it wasn't.
It wasn't necessarily for her. It was because I wanted to catch the people.
Because I was hoping she'd come out of it and speak and say something, because
yeah.
No one afterwards. He said, "Why didn't you do something?" He says, "Would you think anybody in that building was going to talk after what happened to you two?"
Yeah, which is a fair comment, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a pretty clear statement.
After that,
no,
exactly. Two people get raped and murdered. I don't think that's. I think I'll pass on.
I think I'm actually quite happy to get evicted now. I think I'll leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he then says, are you just going to disappear again? And Eric says, I thought I'd use your front door. And Albrecht is, obviously realizes, and he's like, I'm so sorry for what happened to you.
Yeah.
And
I forgot to say when we got the thing with T-Bird and they're taking off the not T-Bird, Tintin.
Yeah.
And they're taking the body off, and you see they're taking the body off, and you see the body with all the knives in it. And I like the guys that awful fucking copper
asshole inspector.
Yeah, says he says who it is. His name's Tintin. And he says, don't any of your people have grown up names?
Yeah. I like that he says it to him as if it's his problem. Like he should be embarrassed of. It's like, well, I didn't give them names. Like they named themselves these stupid names. Nothing to do with me. But then
why are they his? Why are they his?
Gang people? Yeah, I don't know. It's like, okay. It's like he's always like they're his thugs. Like, okay. Like Albrecht should for some reason be embarrassed by these thugs and their made up names. It's like, well, it's not my problem. And then of course he sees the blood on the wall, doesn't he? And he's like, what is that? What the fuck's that? And he's like, well, I'd call it blood detective, but you'd probably write it up as graffiti.
Graffiti. I love the way he says graffiti as well.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's like, oh, I hate that detective so much.
They clearly hate each other. They
and I can understand why Albrecht hates him, because he's an absolute dick the entire film. Yes. So, do we get? No, not yet. Not yet. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where things happen. So I think we then get the Sarah coming home.
Yes.
Sarah comes home at this point. And puts the record on, and the crow appears in the window, and Sarah's like, do you want some food or something to the crow? And of course it flies away again. But I think it's kind of in. Is it meant to be like a really small feather or something that falls on the needle? Something causes the...
There's a bit of fluff.
The bit of fluff
on the record,
which I always assumed came from the crow when it flew away, but I don't know if that's meant to be the case. But anyway, it causes it to repeat Can't Rain All the Time from the song. Making it kind of clear that, it's Eric, which you already suspected anyway.
And I think this is where you get the shot of him on the roof, isn't it? With playing with the guitar.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, again, it's like, that's a goth's wet dream, that whole scene.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so cool. We see that you've got the amp plugged in downstairs. The cable coming out through the broken window with the amp dangling down as he's just playing.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
And he smashes the guitar up.
Yes, he gets angry and smashes the guitar up. Yes, I think then we're cutting to T-Bird, who is robbing a convenience store. Or do we get Gideon then? Do we get Gideon's bit?
I think we get Gideon then.
Get Gideon's bit. So Gideon's taken to Top Dollar, and again he just can't resist being fucking cocky, arrogant, and horrible, even to someone who's clearly insane. Like one of the first things that Top Dollar does when Gideon gets cocky is throw an eyeball at him. And says, that's what happened to the last guy who fucked me around. Yeah. But then Gideon continues. It's like he just cannot. He's like physically incapable of just keeping his mouth shut.
He says something about his sister, what his sister said, and he says she's supposed to be your sister, and he says
my father's daughter.
Yeah, and I love the way he's like, yes, clearly they're wrong people. They're having
just don't question
it. Relationship. Maybe not bring it up.
Why would you?
How much you think it's disgusting in front of him? Because he's clearly a lunatic.
Yeah. Like, why would you even question it? Because I like that Gideon obviously asked the question. Gideon was like saying it in an incestuous way, like you're sleeping with your sister. But Top Dollar doesn't see that. He doesn't even think he's questioning that. He thinks he's questioning whether she's really his sister. Yeah. He's like, Gideon's not questioning whether she's your sister, dude. He's questioning why you're presumably sleeping with your sister. Whereas Top Dollar's like, yeah, she is my sister. She's my father's daughter. Yeah, that's not what he was really getting at. But cool. But yeah, Gideon just cannot leave it.
He goes over to that cabinet, which is
the sword cabinet.
Yeah, and he just opens the cabinet and it's just swords and knives, and he takes out a rapier, and he's still saying shit. It's like,
now at that point you would definitely
in front of you with a rapier, and you want to slag him off.
At the point that the guy opens up a cabinet full of knives and swords, you're like, yeah, just be quiet now. But no,
I think I'll shut up now.
Yeah,
because he accuses him of lying, doesn't he? He accuses him. How do I know you just make this shit up? And he says, I ain't making it up. I'm not sick like you two fucks. It's like,
it's like, Jesus, dude.
Like, you're just not at all bright, are you?
No. And of course Grange explains that he found Funboy, and Funboy's now dead. And that he saw Eric, and that he winked at him before taking a swan dive out of a, I think, 12-story window or something like that. And yeah, so
I'd like to say he says he winked at you, and he says he's musicians.
And he says a boy and his bird, awful touching, and Gideon starts laughing, and Top Dollar kind of pretends to laugh, and then just stabs him through the throat with a rapier.
Skewers him through the throat.
But even then, Gideon can't shut up.
He's like gargling blood and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, for fuck's sake, die. And he says to Grange, give me that, will you? And Grange gives him his calico, and he just shoots him a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's like, well, to be fair, you did skewer him through the throat. It's not like you hit a major organ. He's gonna like thrash around and be not paid for a bit.
It wasn't the cleanest way to kill someone, to be honest.
No.
If you wanted him dead quick, there were quicker ways. But it occurs to me that, and
I love the way you've got Micah sort of intently listening to the sort of stuff about the
crow,
the guy coming back from and the crow stuff.
Yeah. And it occurs to me that every character in this movie of the main cast, they're all iconic. They're so iconic. Each gang member, Top Dollar, Micah, obviously Eric, they're all just like iconic characters. And Gideon, obviously, I love Gideon. So he's dead now though, so that's the end of that.
And actually the bit where in the pawn shop where he walks through the window.
Yeah.
Apparently, some of it's like safety glass, isn't it? It's like But apparently it cut Lee as he went through.
Oh right.
And Gideon not Gideon, Joe, the guy who plays Gideon, John said to him, I think you should be careful because I think that you're gonna die. He apparently said to him,
wow,
you should be careful. So
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of stuff about this whole shoot because they shot in North Carolina because it was cheaper and they could get around a lot of the safety rules and union rules
that they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Empire at the time was visiting the set, and they basically said that like the crew were all out of their faces. They were all, taking breaks to powder their noses and stuff.
Oh, really?
So apparently, it sounds like it was a really sort of chaotic shoot. Yeah.
Wow, it's kind of a miracle it turned out as well as it did.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a number of injuries. I think there was an electrician that got electrocuted. I think, or one of the engineers got electrocuted. It doesn't sound like it was a terribly safe shoot.
No. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yes, so we see T-Bird at the convenience store, and he's with Skank, and he tells Skank that he wants beers and he wants snacks, and
beers, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and to hurry up.
That thing. We actually forgot about the scene earlier when we see all four of them. And they're doing that thing where they're like swallowing bullets.
Oh yes, I love that scene. I can't believe I forgot that scene. That's a great scene.
Chasing it with shots, and then T-Bird puts his cigar out on his tongue. Because that's not long after they blow up.
It is just after, isn't it? It's just after. That's a great scene. I cannot imagine that bullets coming out the other end is going to be very pleasant, but
no.
But sure, and putting a cigarette out or a cigar out on your tongue, like Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, God knows what he's on, but.
And I think we also, in that we also established the pecking order as well.
Oh yeah, very. Yeah.
That, T-Bird's definitely on the top, and Skank is most definitely on the bottom.
Oh, for sure.
Because he's definitely a speed freak. That guy.
Yeah, and a complete moron as well.
Yeah. Utter moron.
It's pretty clear that he's an absolute idiot. Skank enters the shop and starts just grabbing everything he needs. And T-Bird heads out to the car where Eric is sat in the back seat. He kind of appears in the back seat. And he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" As he points a gun at him. He's like, "Who the fuck are you?" He's like, "I'm your passenger. Drive." And he takes the gun away from T-Bird and tells him to drive. T-Bird starts driving as Skank kind of sees them with like a mouthful of crisps and God knows what.
Yeah, crisps. Yeah.
And heads out. And then they start speeding down the road, and we get the.
He immediately ran over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, he runs out and gets run over by that tiny little car. Yeah.
And the guy picks him up and calls. I've always thought it's such a weird line. He picks him up and calls him an ass hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I first watched, I thought,
what did he say? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a clip? Was that like to cover up something else?
Maybe.
It's a weird line. It's
the kind of line you expect on an airplane. When they've just done the stupid dubbing for airplanes.
Yeah.
To kind of hide words. It's a very odd line.
And Skank basically hits him.
Kicks him in the balls, doesn't he?
And then he steals his car to chase after them. T-Bird.
And then we get the what the crap cop. Yeah, the what the crap cop who they copy and paste this exact delivery later on. We get the same line delivered by them again. They're having donuts, right? And donuts and coffee.
Donuts and coffee. He asks for the creamer or whatever it is, and he says you can't legally call this shit
cream.
Cream. And the car just speeds past them, and the driver puts it in gear and goes to chase them. And I love his hot coffee just goes all over
everywhere. Yeah, they've got like a real. I kind of always imagine they have like a real Hot Fuzz kind of dynamic going on there between the two of them, where like the driver is super intense, and the other guy just can't be arsed. He's just like having a laugh and whatever.
He's like the only good copper in the
he's like the only one really trying. He's trying real hard. So of course they chase after him, but I guess at some point they managed to lose them somewhat because they managed to get to the pier.
Yeah, well, what happened? Basically, they get to it.
Oh, they crash, don't they? Actually, that's right.
Yes,
Skank bloody crashes into him.
He stopped in an alley, and the car, the T-Bird drives past. He drives out to follow him, and gets T-boned by the cop car.
Yeah. So they make it to the pier, and Eric tapes him up, and I love this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes of the film, where T-Bird is just like talking like what the fuck do you want? Like, who the fuck are you? As he's being taped, he's already taped to the chair, and Eric's kind of starts taping his head, and then he realizes who he is, and he's like, I know you. Like,
you can't be you. We killed you. There's no coming back.
Yeah, and then you just get the scene of him just saying, there ain't no coming back. There ain't no coming back. As Eric ties this like gaffer tape around his head, taping him to the chair.
Yeah. And he says the line that he said when they were murdering them.
Yes, a line that he read
from
of poetry.
Paradise Lost, I think.
Yeah. Oh God.
And he says that
have you got it written down?
The devils that felt how awful goodness was.
Yeah. Yeah.
He repeats the line.
And then of course Eric puts a brick on the accelerator.
Yeah, I think he's
got some like rig. This kind of going to force his foot down or something.
He's rigged his foot so that his foot pushes the accelerator.
Yeah,
and he takes the pin out. I think it's a phosphorus grenade.
Yeah,
drops that in his lap, and off he goes. Bye. I love the way he like gives a little wave as the car goes off.
Yeah, and then of course
car explosion.
Yeah, Skank turns up just in time to see the car explode, doesn't he? He turns up at the pier just as the car explodes over the water, and Eric does the squeezy bottle of lighter fluid. And makes the crow symbol.
Crow sets it on fire.
Which Daredevil would later try and rip off in Ben Affleck's Daredevil. There's two different levels of quality of film right there.
Jesus, that bloody movie.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for Ben Affleck. He's not had an easy time with superhero movies, has he?
Nope. Still one of the best Batman, though.
Yeah.
In terms of performance, I can't. I'm not going to argue that the script's particularly good in either of those movies that he's in, but he makes a great Batman and a good Bruce Wayne. He's very good. In the same way that we say like about Capaldi, it's like one of the best doctors ever, even if most of the scripts he was in were awful. He was still an amazing doctor. It's same here, But yes, so I think we then get the following day with Sarah waking up to her mother making breakfast.
Yeah.
And she's very confused. She calls her Darla. She doesn't even call her Mum.
No.
And she's asks her,
completely baffled by her making her breakfast.
Yeah, and kind of understandably, she's quite questioning and confrontational about it, and she asks her how she wants her eggs, doesn't she? Yeah,
and she says, I don't like eggs. I haven't liked eggs since I was a kid, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And she says to her, what have you been taking to make you suddenly mother of the year? And the Darla's like, oh, screw this. I thought I could do something good. And she goes to chuck the things away, and Sarah's like, no, wait, over easy.
Yeah.
And she stops her from throwing it away, and she flips the eggs.
Yeah. And she says, like, someone talked to me. It wasn't something I took. It was a man. Yeah, it was a man. She says she says, what man? And he says, oh, he was crazy. Yeah. And then of course later Sarah goes to Eric's apartment, and
I think we then get Albrecht and what's his bloody name? The other copper. Torres. We get Albrecht and Torres at T-Bird's
zigged body. When he should have zagged.
He zigged when he should have zagged, yeah. And he says to him, like, you took...
Because he says he zigged when he should have zagged, case closed. And then he's like, bullshit, you're
covering up for somebody, yeah.
Yeah. But I always thought, like, it's like less Albrecht trying to cover up and more Albrecht just absolutely refusing to do this detective's job. He's like, this detective's an asshole. I'm not going to fucking help you. You figure it out your fucking self, mate. Like, you're an asshole.
Like a detective.
Yeah, like, I got busted. I'm not a detective anymore. You are. You figure it out. Not getting involved.
Do your fucking job.
Because so far, he has not got involved. But he will very shortly get involved. He'll do the RoboCop thing. But, you know, not quite yet. Later Sarah heads to Eric's apartment to try and talk to him, and she turns up and no one's there. I think Gabriel's there, who we missed earlier, but the cat is.
Which I love, the Gabriel cat. She says, "Oh, I thought you were dead." And the cat is been there for a year, surviving on its own. That cat's gonna be feral, and he's absolutely pristine. This is the whitest cat you've ever seen. It's like, how is that the whitest cat? This building is disgusting.
It is,
and
but
cat is that pristine? What the fuck?
But dude, if it's an outdoor cat, that cat has gone into other apartments. They're probably next door, downstairs, are feeding him, thinking that they're his cat. You know, like that's what cats do.
There's no one in that building though. But
even then, he'd go to a different building, a different apartment. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know it will survive.
He's probably getting looked after by someone else. He's probably got like 5 other people that think they own that cat. You know.
That's probably true.
But yeah, and of course she kind of pours her heart out, saying that she misses him and she misses Shelley, and
she's going around the apartment looking for him, isn't she? She's like opening doors up and looking behind things, trying to find him.
Yeah.
And he was burning pictures, wasn't he? So the fire's sort of still just about burning, and she takes one of the pictures, and it's sort of picture of him and Shelley.
Yeah. And she can't find him, and basically says, "Well, screw you then. Thought we were friends." And she starts trying to walk out, and then Eric appears in the window.
"I thought you cared." And you get that great shot of the shadow coming up.
Yeah.
Sort of over her, and he says, "I do care."
Yeah. And they embrace.
Yeah.
And yes, with the net closing in very quickly, Skank heads to Top Dollar, and I love this whole scene with Skank and Top Dollar and all of the criminal underworld.
I love that when he's just running around, sort of like saying stuff, and Top Dollar's got a smile on his face. He's just watching this guy.
Doesn't he say? He says to Grange, like, "Can we record this and play it back in slow motion later," or something like that? Doesn't he? Because Skank is literally describing everything that's happened, but he's describing it so quickly and going through like so many different things. It's like, what are you saying? They're completely perplexed by him. But being Devil's Night, or I guess the day of Devil's Night, Top Dollar is got all of the like heads of the criminal gangs and their lackeys to turn up for a meeting to discuss Devil's Night. I think
we also get another scene where Albrecht and Sarah catch up with each other. And she's got Gabriel.
Again at the hot dog stand.
The hot dog stand.
Yeah.
And Gabriel's there, and he comes over, and she says to him, people can't come back, can they, and stuff. And he was like, she said, basically they come to the conclusion that they're both talking about the same person.
Yes.
And
it's like, if you're crazy, I'm crazy. We're both crazy kind of situation. But yes, Top Dollar's got all of the criminal underworld for a meeting, and talking about how he lit some of the first fires in the city, and that Devil's Night is kind of passé now.
They've got Devil's Night greeting cards.
Yeah. One of the crime bosses says, "What, you don't want me to light fires anymore?" And he says, "No, that's not what I'm saying. I want you to light fires so big the gods will notice us again,or something like that, doesn't he?" It's like, "I want you to burn down the whole city, but presumably no property that I own." That's everything else. Like,
well, unless of course he's got insurance for all that. So
well, maybe
it's all of his properties as well.
Yeah.
got to make money somehow.
Yeah. So yeah, they make their plans for Devil's Night, and Eric arrives looking for Skank.
Yeah.
Before that, we get the line of. Sorry, I was going to say before that, I love the line of like, I feel like a small fish on a big fucking hook.
Yes. This is where your mama must be real proud of you.
Yeah. And of course, yeah. Then Eric
I like the way
appears.
when Eric comes in, he does that really cool thing. He basically walks towards the table and he sort of vaults onto it and lands cross-legged, which is I tried that. I cannot do that. That's a skill.
It seems like a good way to break your tailbone.
Yes.
If you don't do it properly.
It looks amazing.
It looks awesome. Yeah. It looks great. Yeah. It's really cool.
And he says he's only come for Skank. He just wants Skank. Everybody else can bugger off, basically.
Yes, but Top Dollar, of course, says, well, you can't have him.
You can't have him.
And then gunfight. Huge gunfight.
Yeah.
Gunfight, which turns into a sword fight.
Great.
It's amazing. The choreography in this is incredible, this shot.
Yeah. I mean, he did most all of his own stunts.
Yes, yeah.
Except for some of the falls, which I think they wouldn't let him do. But I think he even choreographed a lot of it himself.
I wouldn't be surprised because he was a very capable martial artist and a very capable. I mean, he's done a lot of martial arts in films and fights in films. So I guess at this point he was probably an expert, and obviously his father probably was. So yes. I mean. I don't know what to say about this scene other than it's amazing. We do get Micah trying to get the crow in this scene as well. She's trying to catch the crow.
And I love that you also got the My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult playing downstairs because this is a nightclub.
Of course.
So they're playing downstairs. So you've got the music playing while this is going on, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So you get the great music, and you do sort of think it's like they've already riddled this dude with bullets, and they're still trying to kill him with the guns.
Yeah.
It's like I guess you do what you can if you've got the guns. I guess you're still going to try and use them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Even though he's not doing anything.
No. And of course, no, it doesn't do anything. Top Dollar and Grange and Micah escape.
Yeah,
and
they make their exit.
And Eric basically slaughters all of them, leaving Skank, who does the thing that I always think people should do more in movies, and never seems to happen. There's like dead bodies everywhere. And obviously, Eric's supernatural, so he knows. But I do like that Skank is like, I'm not Skank, that's Skank. Skank's dead. Yeah, like, there's a dead guy there. Because that so often happens in movies. Like, why don't you just say you're not that person, and that's the person over there. They're dead.
Else.
They're dead. And of course, Eric's like, yes, you are dead, and throws him out the window. And he falls. And I love this because he falls into the crowd, doesn't he? He falls down into the crowd, and the guy on the mic.
No, that's one of the other guys.
Oh, is it one of the other guys?
He's outside. He lands on a cop car.
Oh, he lands on the. He lands on the what the crap car, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because they redubbed the line in, and he's like the same cop. He's like, what the crap? But yeah, the guy who falls through into the audience. I love that the singer's like, get the fuck out of here, and everyone just licks it.
Yeah, everybody scatters.
You get the feeling that it might not have been the first time this happened at this club night. Like, things like this have happened before, and they know the drill. They're like, get the fuck out, come on.
Know where your exits are.
Yeah. So the police have shown up, and a lot of them too. And they tell Eric to freeze. They burst into the room and tell Eric to freeze, and of course he does that little dance across the room.
Little dance, yeah.
Kind of sidestepping as they all shoot at him. But then things get a little more serious. I mean, he is immortal at this point, but we don't know how immortal. And he exits, and of course he's getting shot from the ground as he's on the rooftop. Albrecht comes up behind the police and realizes what's going on.
Yeah, there's a helicopter and everything chasing him down.
Yeah.
And Albrecht basically picks him up.
Yeah, picks him up in his car, and they drive off.
And he stops when a police car goes past them, And during the stop, Eric exits the car and disappears.
Yeah. Yeah. So Eric, obviously, as far as he's concerned, his quest is over. He's accomplished what he was meant to do, and he returns to the grave to find Shelley. And Sarah goes to. Sarah does say goodbye to him, doesn't she? She says goodbye to him, and he gives her the engagement ring.
He gives her Shelley's ring. Says this belonged to Shelley, and I think she'd like you to have it.
Yeah.
And while they're talking, you see that Grange is watching them.
Yeah.
And when Sarah was talking to Albrecht at the hot dog stand, she says that Eric says he can't be my friend anymore because I'm dead. He's
dead. Yeah.
She's living, and that's just the way it is.
Mm.
And they, she's satisfied. She says goodbye and she walks off, and he basically goes to the grave. To the grave, and as
I always like this because obviously Sarah gets kidnapped, but I always think if Sarah hadn't got kidnapped, I'm assuming the Crow would have told him to go after Top Dollar or do something else, because he's kind of stood there and is like, what now? I've accomplished my mission and I'm stood at my grave, but I'm still alive. What am I meant to do? Do I get a job? What am I meant to do now? just stood there this is awkward. I kind of thought I'd go,
Do you know about the Skull Cowboy?
No, I don't think so. Tell me all about it.
So there is a character called the Skull Cowboy.
Right.
He's in the comic.
Right. Is he in the movie?
So no, he's not.
Right.
But he was going to be.
Okay.
So the stuff with the Crow, they kind of did themselves, because in the comics it's not quite like that.
Right.
The Crow's not really his source of power in the comic. So there's this. So they were going to use this Skull Cowboy. So this Skull Cowboy works as it's literally a skeleton cowboy,
mm-hmm.
and he is kind of like the guide of sort of Eric's guide.
Right.
And you can look it up on YouTube. There was they did film a couple of the scenes. There's a scene where when he climbs out of the grave, the cowboy's there, and he says stuff to him. And at this point, when he goes to the church to rescue Sarah, there's a scene where the Skull Cowboy says to him, you've done what you've come to do. If you go into there and rescue Sarah, you're doing living things now. You're not doing things that you're here for. You shouldn't be reacting.
So was that the original plan of how he'd lose his powers? Was it?
Yes. So
right.
He says if you go in there and rescue her, you will lose your powers and you will be mortal again.
Ah.
And you will walk the earth forever, sort of thing. And then he says, he says, make your decision. He says, yeah, that's because I did that thing, and now I'm stuck here now. And he says, well, that was you. This is me. I'm gonna do it. And then the Skull Cowboy disappears. He was actually played by Michael Berryman.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, the guy from The Hills Have Eyes. And stuff. So there's if you, on YouTube.
I will definitely look that up.
They've got the scenes, and there's the scenes where they're making him up and stuff. And obviously they're very rough because they were never finished. But they basically, I think, for numerous reasons, they decided to sort of get rid of that character and make it more about the actual Crow instead.
Yeah.
That the Crow was his source of the power,
mm-hmm.
which I think is a really good thing. I actually prefer that way. But I do. The Skull Cowboy looks amazing. It's a really cool.
I will definitely look that up. But yeah, as you said, Grange abducts her from a nearby church, and basically takes her with Top Dollar and Micah. The Crow obviously sees this happen and knows that he needs to go to the church. Now, Micah, we did miss. There's a car ride after the slaughter at the club.
The escape, yes.
And Micah is making it clear that the crow is his connection between the land of the dead and the land of the living, and the power can be taken, or the link can be severed if they kill the crow. And then again, Grange is just cool with it, and just
Top Dollar's brooding on how none of the buildings are burning. It's like almost like completely calm day.
Yeah, because all of the criminal underworld just got slaughtered. It's like there's no one left to start fires now. It's just him. And of course, it's great because it reflects back to a line very early in the movie where he wishes he could go back to the old days when he had nothing and he was hungry and he was, he's got too much power. And now, of course, he finds himself without anything. He's got no power. His base of power is gone. All of his lackeys are gone, and it's just him now on his own. Or not on his own, but, with Micah and Grange. Grange, of course, again, so cool here. He's like, okay, so we kill the crow, fine. That'll make him unimmortal. Cool, why not? Whatever you say, dude. But yeah, so she's been kidnapped, and of course, Eric heads to the church to rescue her.
Yeah.
But Grange shoots the crow as it flies into the church. It doesn't kill the crow, but wounds it, and that causes Eric to become mortal, which is interesting because I didn't know about the Skull Cowboy. So that's kind of interesting the way they changed that to make it work.
Well, from what I gather, he was signed on to do 2 more movies. Brandon Lee was. So right. They were going to do sequels, and I guess what would have happened is he would have been, the next movie would have been him without the powers and stuff, and maybe regaining his power, or whatever. But yeah, so that obviously those plans never happened.
No.
But yeah, so I guess they would have made more of that, the Skull Cowboy, if they would have done the sequels.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see what happened there. But yeah, so Eric basically
like Top Dollar doing the quick impression for you. Call, bang, fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah, I like that. Eric kind of moves towards Top Dollar, and Top Dollar shoots him, and Eric's just like, oh fuck. It's just like, damn it. He looks at himself and he's like, oh shit.
This hole is not covering.
This is a problem. We got a problem.
Yeah.
Yes, and just as all seems to be over, Albrecht
back to kill him.
Yeah, Albrecht arrives, and he says he was coming to pay his respects to Eric. So I was never sure if that was like a sarcastic, like I knew what you were, I saw you going in here and I came to help, or whether he was like, I just came to pay my respects. I didn't realize this was going to be going on.
Yeah, with like a sort of weird shotgunny thing.
Just I always come into church for shotgun. You never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he turns up and starts shooting, causing Top Dollar and whatnot to retreat.
I love the way he says that. He says to him, so I figure I'll walk behind you until they run out of bullets.
He's like, here's the plan. You walk out there and get shot until they run out of bullets, and then we'll take him down. And Eric's like, yeah, that's fine. It's just one problem.
Yeah. I thought you couldn't be killed. He goes, yeah, well.
Yeah. Things have changed.
Yeah.
So yes, they have a shootout. Albrecht and Grange. Albrecht kills Grange. As Top Dollar.
He gets hit himself.
He does, yes. He gets shot, but he does kill Grange. And Top Dollar, meanwhile, is tying Sarah up, and he starts climbing the bell tower. Micah, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It could go either way. I can't remember. Has the crow, but it effectively escapes from her clutches and basically claws her eyes out. Of course, she has a thing for eyes the whole way through.
Pecks her eyes out, and she falls
down through the. Yeah, falls down through the center of the bell tower. It's very Batman, this ending.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Except it probably fits better here than it does with Batman, because it kind of makes sense that it's in a church here, whereas in Batman it's like, okay, just a random church. Yes. So Eric basically says to Albrecht, you stay here, and he heads up there on his own.
Yep.
Where, they have a fight, and Top Dollar kind of quickly gets the upper hand.
Top Dollar's he's got Sarah out. It's like raining, and they're on the roof, and he's
tied Sarah up.
And it's like Eric says to him, like, let her go, and you think, why would you say that on the roof of a church? Why would you say let her go?
Yeah,
that's the stupidest thing you could possibly say to him.
Yeah,
and of course he pushes Sarah, and she goes sort of over the edge. Well, she rolls down the roof, and the roof breaks, and she falls partially through. She's hanging on, and Top Dollar basically, he's got his katana, and they start fighting, and Eric takes out, I presume it's a weather vane. Or
yes, I think it's a weather vane.
But it's a very cool looking.
Oh, it's great.
Bit of chunk of metal that he fights him with, and then he kind of beats him, but as he's going over to help Sarah, he gets skewered right the way through.
Yes.
And he says to him, I like the way that he says, I'll tell her about you and your girlfriend. He says, but nothing happens in this city without my say so. So
he basically admits responsibility.
Yeah, and he says, if it's any consolation to you, you have brought a smile to my face.
Yeah.
And then Eric says, I want to give you something. I don't need it anymore. And he touches his face, and he.
It's 30 hours of pain, isn't it?
30 hours of pain, yeah.
All in like a moment.
Yeah, all over into Top Dollar, and of course it completely destroys Top Dollar, who then falls off the.
He gets impaled onto the gargoyle.
Church. And gets in. That is such a great shot.
Great shot, isn't it?
Through the gargoyle's mouth. It's
awesome. Great. So awesome.
Brilliant. And of course he pulls Sarah up and goes back downstairs.
Yeah.
And he said, he says to Sarah to stay with Albrecht, and then he basically goes back to the grave.
Yeah.
And he waits there and eventually Shelley turns up.
And he succumbs to his wounds.
Presume takes him off to where they need to go.
Yeah. I'm never sure whether like Eric's dead body is now outside of the grave. Can you imagine the keeper of that cemetery coming in the next day? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, there's like an open grave, and now the body's out of the grave. It's now on the floor. There, like, what the hell? Like, the fuck, dude.
Because the thing is though, that like what happened. You get that sort of like wipe shot, and it's all gone. There's nothing there. The grave is covered back over.
Yeah. Someone sorted it all out, but
yeah. And the of course the Top Dollar took the ring off
of Sarah.
Yeah. And Sarah comes to the graves, and the crow drops the ring into her hand.
Yeah, and she thanks it.
She thanks it, and it goes off, and then you get the closing line of hers.
Yeah, if the people we love are stolen from us, the way to have them live is never to stop loving them. Buildings burn, people die, but real love is forever. And that's The Crow. I absolutely love this movie, and I think all of the sequels are fucking garbage.
I actually don't mind. There's some stuff to like in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I like for instance, I like the aesthetic. The yellow. It's got this really weird yellow aesthetic that I really like, because the story goes the director was once mugged in New York.
Right.
And when he was getting sort of done over by this mugger, he said the light from the behind him was beautiful. It had this like yellow glow, and so he wanted to give the city that yellow glow. And so it kind of worked for. I think it works for that movie. I think it's not a great movie, but I do like it. There's some really nice stuff, and I like the idea that that it's an older Sarah.
Yeah.
And it's a new Crow sort of thing. I kind of like that because I mean I don't know what would have happened, what the stories would have been had Lee continued. What would have happened with Sarah's character? I presume they would have done more with Sarah, but yeah, I mean, they definitely got progressively worse as well.
I think the biggest problem I have with it is like the whole image of the Crow in this movie. I always took to be down to him being in the band, having the look he already had, is his clothes apart from the coat that he inherits.
The coat he takes off of Tintin.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like that was his look because that was his look, and I think every movie after that tried their best just to re-emulate that look, and it's like you could have gone for a different look other than the makeup. I get keeping the makeup would make sense, but everything else is like, why are you doing why do you have to do the long hair and the long coat? And it's like I always think they struggled. They just always went with that look rather than just like do something fresh and new with the story. A Crow has found someone else who's not a goth, who's not in a band,
The Crow Salvation.
Edward Furlong.
Eric. No. Salvation with Eric Mabuse.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
It's the third one.
Okay.
With Kirsten Dunst.
Christ, how many did they make?
4.
Jesus.
Yeah. The Furlong one is Wicked Prayer.
Oh, that's right.
And
yes.
That's got David Boreanaz as the bad guy in it, who's like completely hamming it up in that movie.
Can you blame him?
But I remember that movie more than I remember Salvation. But Eric Mabuse doesn't look like the rest of them. He's actually got short hair, and he's got. Yeah,
that's right. I have seen that one. That's the electric chair one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that is the electric chair.
And that was one of the only things I liked about it, was that they didn't try and do the same look. It's like, that makes more sense.
He's got the makeup and stuff, but he doesn't look the same sort of gothic. He hasn't got the same sort of goth look.
No, he's got short hair. He's a different guy, and that always made more sense to me. That he would just be. It's just someone has come along, some guy, some girl wronged in life comes back from the dead. I get keeping the makeup bit. Other than that, change the image. But
they kind of made it so in the series they kind of made it that it wasn't makeup at all. That it's part of being the Crow, as it were.
So in the series is Mark Dacascos as Eric Draven, and he just never dies at the end, does he? He just hangs around after that.
I know I watched the series again. I remember very little of it.
I don't remember much.
I just remember that there was a bad guy that had a snake.
Yes, and it gets very supernaturally.
It was like the equivalent, the evil equivalent of the Crow, I think. If I remember rightly. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my memory of that is terrible, and I've got a weird feeling that the Skull Cowboy was in the series, but I don't remember seeing him. I think he was played by Kadeem Harrelson in the series.
Do you know that feels like the kind of thing that might just all be on YouTube for free? So I might see if I can find it and watch it, because I'm curious. I remember like enjoying it for what it was back in the day. I'm a huge Mark Dacascos fan, so I think that was like the main reason I watched it, really. And I think even at the time. Even at the time, I accepted it was ropey.
It was like, I don't want to watch this.
No,
it's like it was a proper remake sort of thing, and I just thought, this is gonna be awful. But Mark Dacascos, that holds a lot of weight. So
it was called The Crow Stairway to Heaven. That's right.
Yes.
And it was because the first 2 episodes, I think, that like the pilot is basically the movie, but he survives at the end and keeps going. If I remember rightly.
I also seem to remember you get a lot of weird sort of like heavenly stuff with Shelley.
Yes, there is a lot of that.
Yeah, you sort of get a lot of. I'm not sure whether they're supposed to be angels or whatever, but there's a lot of weird stuff that my memory is very hazy on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose we should actually discuss the actual death of Brandon Lee.
Yes. He died.
So the what happened was so as I said before, the set was a bit lax on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the prop master had gone home apparently for the night, and the day before, the gun that was used, so it had dummy bullets put into it so that they could do close-ups, so that you could see the bullets in close-up.
Mm-hmm.
Now these dummy bullets were, because they were cutting costs, they made them themselves, and the dummy bullets aren't supposed to have any charge in them, but when one of them was fired and a piece of that bullet got lodged into the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, when they came to do I think it was the initial scene of the rape and murder scene.
Yeah.
So they put blanks in. Now blanks have no bullet, but they have a charge.
Oh yeah. They're well, obviously, as we will discover, blanks can be deadly.
Yeah. So the barrel was not checked to see if it was clear. And when, sadly, Michael Messi, who played Funboy, when he fired the gun, it fired as if there was a bullet in. So the charge went, forcing the blocked barrel to release, and it hit him in the abdomen. Basically, he got taken to hospital, and he died in hospital. And for Michael Messi, who was massively distraught by this,
obviously,
he didn't act for a year. He gave up, and he died in 2016. But in interviews, he still said he still has nightmares about that whole.
Well, I'm not
thing.
surprised. Yeah. I mean, I've known people, a couple of people that have unfortunately been involved in someone's death, not their fault, just a car incident or whatever, and that haunts you for the rest of your days, whether you intended to or not.
No, exactly.
Complete accident, but you've still taken a life, and he was holding the gun. He obviously was told it was safe, but it's a hell of a thing to have to live with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think from that they did change the safety procedures for how guns were handled in movies.
Yeah.
After that, so like we said, it's a real fucking tragedy on many levels. But Brandon Lee, I think, would have gone on to do amazing things. I think he proved in this movie, because all the other movies he'd done before, he was good in them because they were martial arts movies for the majority.
Yeah.
And he was great in them. But this actually showed that he was a really good actor.
I think it really shows his acting ability.
Really, that showed it off amazingly, and I think I think he'd have gone on to do some really, really good roles. I think
absolutely.
Those things, and of course, this adds to the whole mystique of the movie. I think it, in some cases, maybe it wouldn't have been as popular as it was because of that. Because I think there is a morbid curiosity about it. People did go to see this movie because of the the tragedy of what happens, and I think it affected all the people involved.
Yeah, of course. It's a horrendous thing.
Yeah.
And I guess a cautionary tale on not cutting corners when it comes to things like this kind of safety.
Don't fucking cut corners when you're handling firearms.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is tragic to think. Obviously it's tragic that the loss of life is tragic, but it's also tragic to think that this was surely the movie that would have catapulted Brandon Lee into superstardom. This would have been the stepping stone to him becoming massive in Hollywood, I think. Because I've watched his previous movies, and a lot of them are kind of canon level B-movie kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they're good, they're great, but this was
fun.
this was another level for him. This was breaking into Hollywood, and yeah.
And again, like they didn't want him to begin with. James O'Barr wanted Johnny Depp. He wanted Johnny Depp to play him. And I think there was a few people were sort of lined up, but I think a few people turned it down. I think they even thought about getting Bon Jovi or something at one point.
God!
And I think he was seriously thought about for the second movie.
I mean, he can act when he wants to. I don't know about.
Yeah, he can act. I'm not sure whether.
I just don't see him in the role, to be honest.
No, not at all. Yeah, and I mean, even the actual comic itself has a tragic history. I mean, James O'Barr, he wrote the comic as catharsis, because he basically grew up in in orphanages and from foster parents, and he had a really sort of shitty life, and he met this girl who, as he says, was perfect. She was a wonderful woman, and she turned him around, and he had 3 wonderful years with her, and she was killed by a drunk driver.
Oh, Jesus!
And for a long time, he said, he was awful because he said it was like a big joke. He finally found something great in his life, and it was taken away from him, and it for a long time it fucked him up. And he said that The Crow was, was what he started working on to sort of to help deal with that pain of that loss.
Wow.
And it took him like 9 years to finish. He basically said he'd do a chapter, and then it would become too much for him, and he'd have to walk away for a bit, and then he'd come back to it like later. And yeah, it's the whole sort of story, and it all has this sort of like, mystique of tragedy just going through the whole thing, and it's one of those weird little sort of tragic loops that some things have. The comic is very different from the film. There's the people are different. I think the main villain is not Top Dollar. It's actually T-Bird.
Right.
And he's not a musician. He was a mechanic, which I think they used more in the second one. Yeah,
I think he is. He's a bike mechanic in the second one, isn't he?
And they basically, their car breaks down, and that's where they get killed. And it's in the comic, it's him that lives in a sort of for a bit longer. Shelley dies immediately, and he is the one that
lives for so many hours.
There were little things that are changed. There's a really weird one that you can actually spot in the movie. When he kills them, he ties a bullet casing in his hair.
Right.
And in certain shots in the movie, you can actually catch he's got like bullet cases in his hair. So I'm guessing that maybe at some point they were gonna do that, and then they sort of didn't bother. But you can still see evidence that they just he did it, because you can. I think particularly at the end, near the end of the movie, you can see that he's got a bullet casing in his hair.
Oh right, I can't say I've ever noticed that, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a great movie and a great comic.
Yeah, fantastic.
Some of the other comics that came out of that are again like the movies. Some of them are good, some of them are totally terrible.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's still a great idea, and they keep trying to reboot it. There's been lots of attempts to bring it back. Like Bradley Cooper was signed on at one point. I think Ryan Reynolds might have been mentioned.
Right.
And the last one that I think got the furthest was with Jason Momoa, because they even had pictures of him in the makeup with the director. I can't remember who the director was now, but they've got pictures of him and the director in a pub, and Jason Momoa sort of like makeup up, which he looks cool.
Yeah,
he kind of looks the part. I do think that if they're going to do another Crow, just do a different story.
Yeah, I think that's all they ever needed to do. Just do something different. Don't try and capture the original. Just do something completely new.
I think it's. I mean, I know some people say, "Oh, well, it would be better if they actually did the comic book version." Closer
maybe
to the comic. And I think, okay, maybe that's something that you could get around with, but I don't know. I'm not sure I'd want to see it. I'd like to. I'm more than happy to see another Crow movie as long as it's really not a remake. I think a remake would be a bad idea.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no need for it at all.
Yeah,
just do another movie.
And I did watch just before actually we started this. I watched Joe Blow had put a video up on the Rob Zombie scripted Crow 2034, I think it's called, and that movie sounds like it would have been batshit crazy. It sounds like from what they gather is that this was already a script that he had that he jimmied the Crow stuff into.
Oh dear. Okay.
Because it's like post-apocalyptic, and the guy comes back. He's called Basil, and he comes back initially not remembering who he is or what he's there for, and he becomes some sort of bounty hunter for like 20 years or something. It's something that the script sounded fucking really weird.
Sounds terrible.
At least it sounded like they were going to do something completely different.
Oh, I'm all for a post-apocalyptic Crow. Sounds great. I'm a fan of the. There's an animated manga of Highlander, which I probably the only other good Highlander film apart from the original film, and it's a manga, and that's post-apocalyptic cyberpunk Highlander. That's awesome. So I'm all for that. What I'm not for is that he couldn't remember who he was and went to be a bounty hunter for 20 years. Like what? Like what? But fine. Yeah,
I think like they said, I think it was all Jimmy. The Crow stuff was jimmied in because it was originally something else, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
And he's got all the little quirky names for characters that Rob Zombie loves. So it's a very Rob Zombie script.
Sure.
He's never done anything with it apparently. I think he retouted it for something, but nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
So whether he'll, I don't know, retwig it and.
Maybe after the Munsters, who knows?
Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Oh, me too. He's a big Munsters fan, which gives me hope.
Yeah.
He's a huge fan, and if you look at the work they've done on the set, is insane. So, like, he is putting a lot of money, time, and effort into getting this right. So it gives me hope. Rob Zombie's hit and miss for me, but I do like a lot of his stuff. So.
I like a lot. Yeah, I do like a lot of his stuff, but
I like more than I hate. Let's put it that way.
Yep, same here.
So I'm excited, but in any case, that was The Crow, and we'll be back next week with our usual fare. I know one film I absolutely will definitely be reviewing because I'll be watching it this weekend. But yeah.
Oh yeah, what's that then? Are you going to any clues or?
Isn't it Midnight Mass? I've heard such good things about it.
Oh, that's a series, isn't it?
Don't tell me it's a fucking series.
Yeah, it's a series.
No, it's not that then. It's a different film. It's a film. I'm sure it's a film. I can't think what it's called though.
Midnight Mass TV miniseries.
Oh, unless it is a miniseries.
I'm looking forward to that because that I've heard really good things about.
If it's a miniseries, maybe I'll give it a go. Oh no, it was Midnight Mass. Yeah, so it is. I tend to avoid series because I just don't have that kind of time at the moment. But
it's done by Mike Flanagan, who did Doctor Sleep and Morning of Hill House.
I love Doctor Sleep, and Hill House was good as well. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, so it's got really good pedigree. I've heard really good stuff about it. So I might actually try and. I mean, we've got a week.
We have got a week. Yeah.
I might try and. Cram it in before our next.
I've heard like universally good things about it, so I will definitely check it out at some point. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody, and we will catch you next time.